Hi class, Mrs. Calvi here. I'm going to do a review on simplifying fractions, something that you should have learned in elementary school, but just in case you forgot. So I'm going to look here at my fraction. Remember, the top part of my fraction is called my numerator. The bottom part is called my denominator. So I can simplify a fraction if both the numerator and the denominator are divisible by the same number. So now the easiest thing to do is first look to see if they are both even. Well, it just so happens that both 4 and 6 are even numbers. And being that we now know our divisibility rules, we know that even numbers are divisible by 2. So I know I can take my numerator of 4, divide it by 2, and my denominator of 6 and divide it by 2. Now remember, both the numerator and the denominator have to be divisible by the same number in order to be able to simplify the fraction. So now 4 divided by 2, or 2 times what gives you 4, and that's 2, and 6 divided by 2, or 2 times what gives you 6, and that's 3. Now 2/3 cannot be simplified any further, so 2/3 is in simplest form already. All right, let's try another one. Okay, if I have 6/15, so I'm going to look to see if both the numerator of 6 and the denominator of 15 are divisible by the same number. Well, I'm going to try my 2 rule. The 2 rule is if they're even, then they're divisible by 2. Well, 6 is an even number, but 15 is not. So that means they're not both divisible by 2. So let's think of our 3 rule. The 3 rule is if we add up the sum of its digits, and the sum of its digits is divisible by 3, the whole number is divisible by 3. Well, we don't need to add anything for 6 because it's a single digit, but we should know that 6 is divisible by 3, that 3 times a number does give us 6. And if we use the 3 rule for 15, if we go ahead and add our digits here, so 1 plus 5 equals 6, and 6 is divisible by 3, so we know 15 is divisible by 3. So here we know we can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 3 to simplify this fraction down. So 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2, and 15 divided by 3 is equal to 5. Now, it just so happens this is already in simplest form. I cannot simplify it any further. Okay, so 2/5 would be my final answer. Okay, so here I have 12/24. Well, I can look at 12 and 24 and say, oh, well, I know they're even, so I know I can cut them in half, meaning divide by 2. But you might also see that 12 and 24 are also divisible by 6. But the easy way most students do is divide by 2. If they're both even, just cut them in half and divide by 2. So 12 divided by 2 is going to give me 6. 24 divided by 2 is going to give me 12. Well, this is not simplified yet. It's not in simplest form. 6 and 12 are both even, so I can again cut them in half and divide by 2. 6 divided by 2 is going to give me 3, and 12 divided by 2 is going to give me 6. Well, 3/6 is still not in simplest form. All right, so I'm at 3/6, and it's not simplified down yet. I can no longer divide it by 2 because 3 is not an even number, but 3 and 6 are both divisible by 3. So I can divide both of these by 3 to simplify it down even further. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. My final answer, simplified all the way down, is 1/2. Okay, so here I have 40/28. This is actually called an improper fraction because my numerator is larger than my denominator. So we would call this as an improper fraction. But I just want to simplify it down, all right? I'm not changing it into a mixed number. I'm just simplifying it down. Well, 40 is an even number and 28 is an even number. So easy thing to do is cut them in half, meaning divide by 2. So 40 divided by 2, or cut 40 in half, that gives me 20. Cut 28 in half, and I would get 14. Well, if you notice, these numbers are still even. 20 is even and 14 is even. That means I can simplify it further. I can again cut them in half or divide by 2. So I'm going to cut 20 in half, or divide by 2, which is 10. And I'm going to cut 14 in half, or divide by 2, which is 7. Okay? So now I'm looking at 10 and 7. Well, they're both not even, so I know they're not divisible by 2. And it just so happens this is simplified all the way down. I cannot simplify it. A 10 and 7 is not divisible by the same number. So 10 sevenths would be my final answer. Okay, last one. We have 9 over 54. Well, I always go to my 2 rule first. Problem is 9 is not even, so I know it's not divisible by 2. So I can't divide this in half. So now I'm going to look at the 3 rule maybe. So 9 is divisible by 3. I need to know if 54 is divisible by 3. Well, let's think of the 3 rule. Add the sum of the digits. 5 plus 4 is equal to 9, and 9 is divisible by 3, so that means 54 is divisible by 3. So I know I can divide both of these by 3 to simplify my answer. This is the reason why knowing the divisibility rules comes in really handy. So 9 divided by 3, or 3 times what equals 9, and that's 3. So now we're looking at 3 going into 54 how many times? 3 goes into 54 how many times? So if you need to do the math, you do it on the side. So 54 divided by 3. 3 goes into 5 one time. 1 times 3 is 3. Left with 2. Bring down the 4. 3 goes into 24 8 times, exactly at 24. So that gives us 18 here. So now I have 3 18ths. Well, I need to see if I can simplify this further. So let's look at 3 because I have a numerator of 3. We can see if 18 is divisible by 3. Well, if we add the digits, 1 plus 8 equals 9, 9 is divisible by 3, so 18 is divisible by 3. So I know I can divide these by 3 again. Divide by 3 again. So now 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. 18 divided by 3 gives me 6, and I come down to a final answer of 1/6. So it took a little while to get there because we simplified little by little. But what we could have done was we could have looked to see if we could have simplified this sooner. Let's see how we could have done that. So if you know your multiplication facts really well, you would be able to see that 9 times 6 gives you 54 exactly. So we could have divided both of these by 9 and gotten to our simplified answer right away. 9 divided by 9 is equal to 1. 54 divided by 9 is equal to 6. And we saved a lot of time. So knowing your multiplication facts comes in handy. All right, that is it for now, and I will talk to you soon.